Bill. That sets us off really well and also provides a segue to Pierrot, who I like to ask a second question. So the university system was developed out of the Roman Catholic Church. It's a Western model, and it probably still has most of the traits of its origin. So my question to you is, how would you bring in other traditions of knowledge verification and transmission into the picture? How can we improve the situation? And we can maybe have others join in after your answers, then others who are would be able to answer that. My question, it's for you, Pierrot. I just wanted to say that others may want to join in after your statements.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the invitation too. Einstein said that it is harder to crack prejudice than an atom. That was it's a famous quote. And life stories, oral history, that we call in Inuit experience lived during people's life, as well as oral tradition and old stories at Nogan, has really the power to transform our perception of what is human and what is life. But to have this transformative effect, it has to be listened to, and this is the main challenge Canada is facing in relation to Indigenous knowledge. And one of the characteristics of Canada's relation to its past, and in a sense to its own truth, it's not only the erasure and systematic invalidation of First People knowledge and stories, but also the representation of this knowledge and stories as deficient, as illness, as even a danger to civilization and progress. So those deep dams, those profound dams between First People knowledge and the society in which we live seems to be a major issue. And somehow John A. Macdonald was right when saying that our knowledge, stories, and worldview were incompatible with his idea of Canada and of space purify, and in his own word, from mongrel races, and in an occupy paradise for trading land speculator and the optimal accumulation of material goods, exploitation of human and nature. So Indigenous ancient and contemporary stories have the power to tell another vision, another human relation to life and truth, if we want. So crazy ideas such as terra nullius, the value of oblivion, the existence of races, superiority of man over woman, the idea of human domination over nature, all those ideas are very deeply ingrained in Canadian culture, and to a different degree, but hardly incompatible with the parameter, I will say, of Indigenous memory and conception of truth. So by the imposition, I would say the imposition of those new truth, haven't succeeded in uprooting Indigenous epistemological foundation and stories. So those mental barbells that were imposed on First People, this new civilization, Canada imposed it to itself and to to all people, and as a consequence, I would say keeping Canadian in a conceptual reserve, preventing them from accessing deeper knowledge, deeper truth about human and the land they live on. So this blindness, this deafness, the deafness is it's a fundamental issue, as it really impacts the receptivity to Indigenous knowledge somehow. So as we cannot judge a person the same way after we have listened to his story, it will not be possible to judge the same way Indigenous people and their science after having heard our old stories. So indigenous historical consciousness carries this knowledge of a society existing and systems of knowledge before contact. It contains as well a memory of those contacts and the promises that were made and the commitments, and also the violation, the transgression of those commitments, of those engagements. And the impact also of human being on this land and on those territories, as well as the continuous, I would say, resistance of people to those new truths that were imposed. So this, in this sense, this is why indigenous conception of the land, of the earth, of the human, has a responsibility for future generation, has always been a national security issue. And this, in my view, this insecurity is because Canada is based on weak ideas, such as the idea of controlling nature, of mastering nature, you know. And from early encounters with explorers up to now, First People have repeated again and again the importance that the earth has to be loved, respected. Humans have to be humble in front of nature, and when you sacrifice a being, it has to be shared. It has to be for a real purpose. So, in this sense, our stories contains our form of interacting with nature and all beings, and of performing. And if our conception are deeply inconciliable with what Canada is now, it doesn't mean that it will be inconciliable what Canada could be in the future. And if Canada want to reconcile with his own truth, it's still a possibility. But time is running out, I would say. And from design for control and annihilation, we might find inspiration for new designs, viable one for life. And if we are able to embrace the hard truth, such as that we're a small species on a small planet, this very simple truth, you know, and if we find the courage to live in coherence with those truths daily. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So that's a lot of food for thought from the first two speakers too, and I think a very good link also the praise of ambiguity and the need for sustainable skills with the need to listen to really different perspectives and how this could be one of the solutions we're looking for to deal with our environmental, very real environmental issues. So I think that leads very well to a question I have for Nancy. And